Hi, I'm Beth, the owner and pastry chef behind Southern Peach Pastries. I decided to do a little video series that sort of documents the process of starting a small business and a small dessert catering company. So with that in mind, I thought I would start from the beginning and kind of explain how I got to be here and where we are today. I was born and raised in Metro Atlanta. I grew up in Lilburn, Georgia, the city of champions, and went to Parkview High School. For undergrad, I went to Georgia Tech, and I wasn't the typical engineering Georgia Tech student. I really wanted to work in the music industry at that time and interned at a radio station and a record label and dabbled with some street team guerrilla marketing stuff all throughout college. At the end of college, through the street team marketing company that I worked for, I ended up going on tour with this band called 07 out of the UK. I went on tour with them just after I graduated college around the United States, and that was awesome. And it kind of led me to events in Los Angeles. So I met the company that I would go work my first job for. I moved to LA in February of 2005 to work for a small event production company called Epiphany. And I was there for about 15 months before I left and went to a startup tech cell phone company, an entertainment content driven cell phone company, pre-iPhone, watching content on your flip phone, Amped Mobile. And that was an awesome experience. I met a lot of amazing people, and that was kind of, the turning point for me staying in Los Angeles working in events. After that, I got the job that I kind of moved to Los Angeles for. I worked for an entertainment marketing and PR agency for nearly 3 years, following Amp's sad bankruptcy demise. And then after the agency, I went back to tech for a little bit, and then that kind of brings us to, in a very quick way, to 2012. One of my best friends from high school and I decided that we would quit our jobs to travel for a year. So in July of 2012, Danielle and I took off for a year-long trip around the world. We covered 18 countries. I could do them really quickly. New Zealand, Australia, Bali, Singapore, Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, India, the Maldives, Tanzania, South Africa, Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia. Yeah, cool. So then at the end of that, we met a lot of amazing people on the road. When we were coming to the end of it, though, I wasn't ready quite yet to go back to LA. The plan was always to go back to Los Angeles and get another job working in events. And so I went to London for what was supposed to be 2.5 months to go to the TBEX conference in Dublin, that October of 2013. But I ended up falling in love with the city and started to job search to look for event planning jobs in London. And for those of you who know, who've ever tried to get a visa in the UK, it's not the easiest as an American, I'm sure. I don't know, reciprocally, it's not that easy here either. But unsuccessfully, that fall, didn't feel like it was that much of an option to get a visa to work over there. So that fall, though, I went to Paris on a quick 3-day trip to see a concert. I went down to see the local natives, and during that trip, I wanted to do a cooking class in Paris. So I took the La Cuisine Paris French or technical 3-hour intensive macaron course, or macaron, I guess technically how you say it, depending on how accurate you want to be in your pronunciation. But I took that course with them, and it was awesome. I loved it. I fell in love. We made both French and Italian macarons, and I really loved it. It was the first sort of stepping stone, unbeknownst to me, to going to pastry school. I went back to the UK and I started volunteering with a charity called the Mince Pie Project. We worked with chefs all around the UK and they auction off mince pies for charity. So one day I was job searching. I just got off the phone with an HR recruiter, and I didn't get through to the next round, and I was crying on Primrose Hill, and I went into this restaurant. Actually, for those in London, it's called Odette's, and I went in there, and the kitchen just kind of felt like a welcoming place, and everyone was so nice, and I was like, well, maybe I should go to pastry school. I never thought about going to pastry school. I'd always said I wanted to have my own bakery, but I wanted to do it when I was married and had a significant other, that we had dual income, because I had heard how difficult the restaurant industry can be. So but since I'm not married at current moment, I figured I would go to pastry school and kind of get the technical chops to open a bakery if I wanted to, or if I didn't want to, it would be a great way to have the other side of things and a better understanding of food and the hospitality industry for events, for doing event production. So there was really no bad answer to going to school. So anyways, I went back to the UK in the spring of 2014 and took a couple of months to job search and try to figure out if pastry school was the right avenue, or if, if I had any sort of leads on a job with a visa in the UK. I ended up getting to the second round of this interview and then decided I didn't get that position. It had a bit more technical needs than I had. And so then I decided to go to pastry school. So I started pastry school the fall of 2014. And I then, through a good friend of mine who was the head pastry chef at the time at Sushi Samba and Duck and Waffle, Chan took me on for work experience starting about 3 weeks into pastry school. So I was learning simultaneously in the classroom and in the industry, which was exciting and probably a great way to learn quicker. I really loved it. I worked there through, I guess, for about 5 months in total. I was only working there once a week, but it was a great team, and they kind of took me in as part of the team, even though I was only there once a week. So that was I really loved the camaraderie that was in the kitchen. And then from there, I kind of felt it was time to get some additional experience. And so I left and I went to work with William Curley, and who's one of the big UK chocolatiers. And I worked there once a week learning chocolate, and that was great and delicious and a lot of fun. And that kind of took me through the end of our patisserie course, which was a 6-month intensive patisserie part of the course. And then the second 6 months of the course was the higher advanced diploma, which included the front of the supervision, the health and safety, the menu planning, costing, all of the kind of back, all of the front of house stuff. And then we got, as part of that, we did a gastronomy project where we went to the Amalfi Coast in Italy, and we also did 8 weeks of work experience. Miranda and Ian were two of my lecturers at Westminster Kingsway College, which is where I went to school. I looked at both Le Cordon Bleu and Westminster Kingsway College, and Westminster was just kind of the better fit for me. They had really great relationships with people in the industry, and it was sort of the best, it was just the best suited course for what I was looking for. And then, but Miranda and Ian were great with the work experience, and I kind of dabbled in some of the food journalism. They sort of gave me leeway to do that. And from there, I worked with some food styling shoots. I worked on with the guys at Sorted Food. It's a YouTube channel in the UK that I got to see some of the behind the scenes of producing a massive YouTube channel, and wrote some travel and food articles for them, as well as I tested some recipes in their kitchen, including an Icelandic rye bread that we baked for 6 hours, trying to emulate the way they bake rye bread in Iceland using geothermic heat. Side note. And then after that, I really enjoyed all of the food journalism stuff, but I kind of was missing learning to be more technically proficient in the kitchen. So after graduation and our work experience ended, I went back and I looked for jobs in the kitchen. I found a great place for the remainder of my visa with the team at Pretty Sweet London, which is a high-end patisserie catering service run by Claire Clark and Sarah Crouchman, and the whole team there was awesome. It was great to work for them. Super busy right before the holidays, creating all kinds of pastries and stuff for afternoon teas. And they do a lot of events, but unfortunately none of the events fell during my eligibility for working in the UK. So I didn't get to work an event with them, but it was so much fun and I really loved it. And I kind of felt like that was maybe the direction I was leaning. Anyways, upon moving back to the United States last spring, I kind of thought, well, I've never really tried a restaurant. I worked at Sushi Samba and Duck and Waffle doing work experience once a week, but that wasn't really working at a restaurant full time. So I went to a Women's Chefs and Restaurateurs conference right after I got back. It was very fortuitous timing. It was in Los Angeles. And I met a bunch of great people. And one of those people was Sherry Yard, a very celebrated and talented pastry chef in the United States. And she actually lived like 5 minutes down the road from me. So it was kind of fate that we met, and that I then went to the local cafe where she has breakfast on the weekends and bumped into her. And the next thing I know, we kept talking, and she brought me in for a trial at her new restaurant she was launching in LA called the Tuck Room Tavern. And from there, I got the job and I started working for her, and it was awesome. It was so much fun learning from her in the kitchen, and it was a really great experience. I worked in the restaurant through the end of, or just before Thanksgiving, and then I decided to kind of leave to pursue my own thing. I wanted to do a little bit more food styling. I wanted to do a little bit more, I wanted to work on like classes and other kind of pop-up options. I did my first pop-up macaron sale right before the holidays in Atlanta last year. And the support was so amazing and incredible and wonderful, and all the feels from everyone here in town. So I think it was, unbeknownst to me, the first little foray into maybe moving back to Atlanta, and that maybe living here and starting up a company here had some legs. I went back to LA at the beginning of this year after the holidays, and I found out my landlord was going to sell our place. So I was gonna have to move anyways, and it just sort of all the stars aligned, and it was just the right time to move back to Atlanta. I got back to Atlanta this past May, and Southern Peach Pastries launched immediately. That's pretty much where we're at. It's been awesome so far. The support from everyone here has been incredible. You know, tear-inducing good feelings from everyone who's been so supportive and so amazing and so encouraging for launching a small business, and ordering cakes and macarons and cookies and, you know, a brunch, a full service brunch. So everyone has been awesome, and that's kind of the backstory of how we arrived at where we are today. So thank you so much for keeping with me for these 12 and a half minutes, and I look forward to sharing more of the journey with you in the next video, but I will keep it to this because this is probably the longest one. So thank you so much, and I look forward to talking to y'all soon. Ideally, I would love to have this be it'll be once a week, kind of a recap of the trials and tribulations and successes and, you know, struggles of starting a small business. And also, I would love to have a second video a week that's questions. So whether it's questions about pastries or in the kitchen or small business or travel or living in London or whatever, you know, just, it's open-ended. There's no rules to that. But anyways, thank y'all again so much. Lots of love, and let me know what y'all think. I would really love to know what you think about this video, and yeah, all right, thanks so much. Bye.